Welcome to Scream Queen, a podcast about scary movies.
From people not typically depicted in scary movies.
Yes, we're back. Terror Tuesday, what's going up? What's up, Drea? How you doing? How you feeling? What you watching?
I'm trying to keep track of the days, which is impossible. That's not even a thing anymore. But kind of, I guess I'm able to keep track just based on, I think on Monday, what's today? So it's Tuesday. You just said that. I can't even keep up. I finished, well, almost finished. There's a new documentary on Shudder called In Search of Darkness. It's like basically an all-encompassing look at 80s horror. And it's like, just if you want to nerd out and it interviews everybody from John Carpenter to Linnea Quigley. It's all over the place. And they get in, actually, I think it might go into the 90s actually, but I know that it was specifically focused on the 80s. But it's just like eye candy. I'm just like, ooh, I just want to, and there's a lot of shit in there I didn't know. So it's also like, when I say nerd out, like, I think the thing's like almost like 3 or 4 hours long, maybe more than that. So I've been taking little breaks.
Nice.
Besides that, I started listening to which we're going to cover tonight. I started listening to the Lovecraft Country, the novel. And it's interesting how the two were matching up. I'm really impressed with how they closely resemble one another, but they have managed to keep it like relatively just of the times. So, there's like slight variations, but everybody's pretty much true to their characters. And only oversight, and I feel like if you tell the story right, then cool. But, I know some people have feelings about when a white man tells the story of like oppression and through the eyes of a black man. That's a touchy thing, but but I'm pretty sure the book is read on Audible by a black man. And because there was a point where he like reenacts like a black voice. He's like, yes, and I was like, oh my God, is that a white man doing that? And I like had to take it. But it wasn't thankfully. But
good. I mean, the thing is, we're not saying that you can't tell other people's stories, but it's more like you have to be respectful and you have to know why you're doing it. And maybe if like the reason, it's like, I was like would tell people like, okay, so if this reason is like one of guilt, could you just make a donation instead? Like what makes you qualified to tell this story, or what's interesting to you about this story?
Yeah. Like Ryan Murphy, of course, occasionally he's known when to pass the torch and just to give them shine, and occasionally he knows when to omit himself.
And that's like David Lindelof and Watchmen. Like he knew when to give other people the shine. I gotta say though, I've been getting on my HBO Max, and like HBO is kind of killing it between like Watchmen, Insecure, the Yvonne Orji comedy special, the Amanda Seales comedy special, like I May Destroy You, and now Lovecraft Country, and I'll Be Gone in the Night. Like it's really, I mean,
I'll Be Gone in the Dark, but
I'll Be Gone in the Dark. Yeah. Kind of killing it.
What did I just finished that the last episode of I May Destroy You, which I don't even want to get into it, but
I haven't. Oh, that was just yesterday. That's right. Oh, fuck. Yes, I have something to watch tonight. Okay, anyway.
Ooh, bitch. It's rude. I hate watching, like we're in such time of everything's just available. Every season you just get the whole thing, but I like savoring things and, but I forgot that feeling of having to wait and like, oh, Lord, just the wheels turning. And so, yeah.
Wait, was it just the latest episode or was it the final episode of the season?
It's the latest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. There's no way that it ends like that. So, but I don't know how many episodes. It could be 12 or 13. I don't even know what the number is. I think it might be the last because usually every episode has a preview of the next, and this one didn't. And I was mad. I was like, I want to know what happens on the next episode, but they don't show you. So I think it's 12 is the number. So other than that, though, there's a bunch of, I just realized they're playing The Rental up the street at the drive-in from my parents' place. They've been playing it for like the last 2 weeks and I didn't know it. So I looked into they look they based on if they really follow protocol, and they apparently do. They have all these guidelines. You can't leave your car, yada yada. I might go check out a few things there. They're going to be playing Candyman and Antebellum and
Oh shit, Antebellum? No, I want to see it. I can't drive.
well, it's coming out. I want to say I just saw the thing where they officially say it's going to be coming out on like Netflix or something like that, or one of those. So
okay.
Also, Mulan's playing there because I ain't paying $30 on Apple
Disney
TV Plus or whatever. Yeah,
They make you pay on Disney Plus.
Yeah, you have to pay. It's $30 if you want to get a video on demand, and not Disney Plus. It's just going to be on demand. I think I'll go see it for like $3 at the drive-in if I get a chance.
Gotcha.
But yeah, other than that, let's get into our main discussion.
Tell them about the Google Voice.
Oh, yeah. How about you tell them about the Google
All right.
Voice?
So we got inspiration from our Domino sister podcast, Black Millennial Marriage, to set up a Google Voice number so that you could call in and be part of the show. We'd like to know, what's the scaredest you ever been in a theater? Because I remember having to vomit twice, one during Event Horizon and one during I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And so yeah, call into 619-289-9052 and tell us, what's the scaredest you ever been in a theater? And we'll play them on the show.
So we're going to be talking about today. We have the debut of Dave Franco with The Rental, which I was just talking about. And you can get that on video on demand. And then we're going to we are back kind of to our traditional layout where we cover 2 topics and then a Scream Queen. So we have to talk about Lovecraft Country, like have to.
We've only seen the first episode, so we're not of the level of influence or where we get screeners ahead of time. Not yet, but we will. So we're just going to be talking about episode 1. Just
our
FYI.
Opinion matters though, and we listen. You're going to like our input on this for sure. Mm-hmm. And then our finally closing this out, it's Miss Lupita Nyong'o and Little Monsters. And yeah,
not the film from the 80s, but the one that came out was last year, the year before.
Not the Fred Savage film, but yeah, it was an Australian release.
Again, with the Australian releases.
I know. Here we go.
All right.
So take it away, Tommy. Our main discussion.
Hello, Scream Queen of Aliens. This is Tommy Teebs Pico. This week, our first topic is going to be on Dave Franco's directorial debut, The Rental. Written by Joe Swanberg and with cinematography by Christian Springer, who also did Atlanta. This is a very beautifully shot movie, I thought. And it's kind of about 2 couples who decide to take a vacation on the beach. They rent an Airbnb type situation, and nefarious ends abound. I kind of dug this movie, I'll be honest with you. I mean, there were certain things I didn't like about it, but I kind of dug it. I mean, the thing is, we open on Sheila Van's character, Mina, and Dan Stevens' character, who is Charlie. And it looks like they're the couple, because we open close on the 2 of them, and they're looking for a vacation rental. But it turns out they're actually just business partners. But when they opened with that, I was like, man, these 2 are going to get it in.
They were like, trying to I think they were clearly trying to insinuate those things, sometimes too obviously. It was a little we got the gist.
And Alison Brie plays Charlie's girlfriend Michelle, and what's his name, Jeremy Allen White plays Josh, who is dating Mina, and he's kind of like a little thuggish, you know what I mean, like he's a little immature, I would say.
He's a loose cannon.
He's a little reckless. Yeah.
And he's in Shameless, and he plays Lip, and he's like that, but he basically just restrained himself. He's like a 20. He's on a 20 in that show. He took himself back to like a 7 in this show in comparison to Shameless.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, he is short and he has a short temper, but I let him defend my honor in a bathtub if it came down to it. He looks like, he would take care of you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's a protector.
There's something about his whole deal where I'm just like, I know it would take you a while to mount me. I'm a little bit bigger than you, sir, but I'm here for it. You
Oh,
know,
the confidence.
sometimes the shorty was just, you know.
It's a lot coming from you. Yeah, because you are not you and the shorties. I don't often hear you talking about them. You're not a shorty whisperer. You're
no. So these two couples go away on this thing. They get this Airbnb. There's a little bit of drama at top because Mina tried to rent it first, and her request was denied. And then Charlie rents it in his name. When they get there, you know, they're confronted by the guy who's the caretaker. It's not actually his house; it's his brother's house, but he's like the caretaker of the grounds, and you know he's racist. And she's like, did you deny my request because my last name is Iranian, basically? And he was like, I don't remember that. And she's trying to tell the group like racism is happening, and they're like really kind of gaslighting her because they're like, no, that's not it, that's not the reason why, it's not because of your last name. And it just like, you know what it's like to be that person, to be like, I'm seeing some kind of racism, misogyny, homophobia, and to have like the people you're with, yeah. Just be like,
I of the decade.
Yes, like, I think you're crazy. Or that's like, have you ever dated a dude before where you're like, you're definitely into this other person, and they're like, no, you're like, basically you're crazy. I'm just like, the thing, just, you can't make a crazy bitch crazier. You know what I mean? Like, do not tell me that you're not seeing this person, and then like a month later when you dump me, 2 weeks later you're dating him. I knew that shit was happening. So fuck off. Anyway, that's not me personally. I've never actually gone through that. I'm just saying, like, potentially.
Oh yeah, that was part of the film. Yeah, that was like another subvert. So anyway.
Yeah. So they bring drugs. They're about to have this epic night. You know, Michelle's character goes to sleep, and so it's just basically Charlie, Josh, and Mina about to be taking some ecstasy or some shit. And I was like, man, the brother's gonna tag double team this? Is this gonna be a spit roast situation?
What?
I don't know, because I was like, you know, because she's definitely with Josh, but she's like really flirty with Charlie.
It could have gone that way.
And I'm like, is this gonna be like really progressive and like have the brothers make out?
Oh, wait. No, I forgot they're brothers. So no, I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't.
I'm not saying they would do it with each other. I'm just saying, you know, they might, you know.
You watch High Maintenance, right?
Yes. Oh,
that episode where at the end,
yeah.
Jesus.
That would.
And also, yeah, I can't. Well, never mind. I'm not even going to bring it up because you haven't watched it yet. But get back to me later when you watch I May Destroy You.
Okay, no more spoilers.
But anyway.
But then Josh ends up going to sleep. He gets a little bit too drunk, and so then it's just Charlie and Mina and their flirtation. They're like, it's like they obviously have like a thing for each other that they have never explored before. They're in the hot tub. His back is on some jets, and she's like, I want jets, and she like saddles up next to him, and then they just make out. And then she's like, oh, I got to go check on Josh. Later on, she's in the shower trying to wash off the shame of making out with her boyfriend's brother / her business partner. Charlie gets in that shower with her, and
yeah, it wasn't much of an effort to wash that shame off because she yeah, she forgot all about that.
So, you know, I saw the infidelity plot coming a million miles away. And I was just like, please, 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 in the land of this movie, do not punish this woman for A, being the only person of color, and B, having an affair. I was just like, please don't punish her for this. That was just like my only stipulation as I was watching this movie.
I mean, it's a big stipulation though. You know, upon having watched it, and I even like questioned myself when I suggested it. You know, I was just like, I enjoyed what it brought. It reminded me of all that fucked up, you know, there's a lot of those films where it doesn't quite work out for the people you think it's going to work out for. I like that feeling, but because of the times we're living in, because of the show we kind of represent, because of what I'm seeking out, you know, it was just like, I appreciated what they did with Sheila Van for a second there. But another example of, you know, they just highlighted the fact that people were gaslighting her, and she spoke up, had a good moment there. And then it was just like, what is all these other poor choices don't match up to that person who just stood up and called all this shit out. Also, it doesn't make sense that she's into that guy. You know, I don't even get those two. They're like best friends, business partners. I don't get like what
ultimately, like, I think what this is bringing up as a discussion point is like, can you be friends with a member of the gender that you're attracted to?
Yeah, of course. What I mean is just like just seems so douchey. He just seems like such a douchebag. But yeah, of course you can. I
And he
mean,
just gets worse and worse. Like,
yeah,
I think Josh gets better in the sense that he's more willing to defend
he's
Mina, but
consistent and yeah, and
Charlie's just,
he's trying to improve actually throughout the whole show or the
yeah.
movie.
And Charlie's just like more detached, and then he's just straight up in denial. Because later what they find out is, so perky ass Michelle, Allison Brie is like, I want to go on this hike. And fucking, first of all, in addition to being ashamed out of their brains, they're also extremely hungover, Mina and Charlie. And so Josh ends up going with Michelle on this hike or whatever, where she learns that when she met Charlie, again, revelations on a douchebag, that when she met him, he was still dating somebody else. And that like, and he never told her that. And Charlie and Michelle are married at this point, by the way. And so she finds out from Josh that he was with his ex-girlfriend when he met her, and they started to like do their thing. So infidelity is in his character. And I think once a cheater, always a cheater.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I mean, yeah, it follows, and I don't mind if you're gonna follow those kind of tropes and those, you know, those stereotypical traits. But you know, there's again, sometimes it just as far as Sheila Van's character, it kind of let down like the person they were trying to, I wish they had achieved her to be. You know, I know what as much she put into it, the character wasn't written for her to prevail. But again, we don't even know if she even died, you know, per se, because we didn't see
a body. We
her
didn't see a
body.
body. No. So then while Michelle and Josh are on this hike of revelations, we might say, Mina and Charlie are just in the rental stewing, kind of steeped in their mistake, when Mina discovers that there's actually a camera in the shower and that they have been spied on this whole time, and that there may exist video evidence of their infidelity somewhere, which sets Charlie, because like Mina initially just wants to call the cops, right? Or she just like wants to confront stuff. And he's like, no, we got to find this secret footage because we can't let them find out about what happened. And it's like, dude, just take the L on this one. You definitely did the deed, and you can do therapy or couples therapy or have that discussion later. But like, if you know that somebody's spying on you, it doesn't matter what's on that tape. You have the trump card, for lack of a better word. Like they should have just gone to the cops.
It was a lazy out, you know, or a lazy way to connect the storyline and why all this stuff spills into what it does. Because it doesn't, as soon as you see a camera, no, you go find out, I know who's doing this. I'm gonna go beat a motherfucker up. Like, this is not okay.
But instead, because Charlie's such like a control freak type A, he just doesn't want evidence of this mistake, of this infidelity to exist. And so that's like where it veered off. That's where, that's the first part in which it was like, nope, and doesn't look great for you, my dude.
Yeah.
So Michelle and them come back, and he says that there's a camera. He doesn't reveal what was on the camera, but he's like, you know, the guy comes, Michelle finally decides to do drugs, which is awesome. She's like, Allison Brie high is like, or her character high was like when she was like the most palatable to me. But she calls the caretaker to come fix the hot tub. And when he comes, Mina confronts him about the camera. She's like, you sick fuck, like, what are you doing? And like they get into like a scuffle, but also Josh's ass, because, you know, he doesn't make the best decisions, had brought his dog with him, even though there's a no pet policy at this Airbnb. And so the dog goes missing, and Josh wants to confront the racist caretaker. And so he's already stewing. He's already angry, you know, and then he hears Mina and the guy getting kind of into a fight, and he just unleashes all of his like masculinity on this man, knocks him unconscious in the tub, defending Mina's honor, which I would let a man defend my honor in a bathtub, as I said at the top of this show. But he's like beat him completely into submission. And so they're like, okay, now we definitely have to get this footage because like you beating up this guy is on there. And then that's when the shady motherfuckers come.
And the real killer comes in. And then we realize, oh, there was, and he makes it. And that's when I was ready for this. Like, I was like, okay, but they had given me too much about the backstory was too much, I think. I just wanted to know more about this weird character, but that also it added to the mystery, and I was caught off guard by that. And that new layer was great.
So one of the criticisms of The Rental is that the first half is too slow. And I think when you were talking about scary movies being slow, oftentimes I think that's a deliberate choice on the director to develop character rather than get into the scares too early. But like that's always a toss up in scary movies, right? It's like, do you want to get to the scary part at the end of act 1, or do you want to get to it in the middle of act 2? And that decision is like make or break for some people when they're watching. Like, how do you feel? Do you think it was too slow?
No, it wasn't too slow. I really enjoyed it. But again, for the type of story they're trying to, it's a classic style, this movie. Like, I think overall it was achieved what Dave Franco was trying to achieve. I mean, I was legit freaked out and, very weirded out by the end of the movie. But again, they often in these films that like that style, they don't give you too much backstory on these people, and often they just get right into the nitty gritty, or you're seeing more of that other person. So it was different that there was this, we didn't even know about that person until later on in the film, and I kind of like that I was left out of it. Like they didn't want me to know about that part.
Because the argument on either end is that like we want to be scared earlier, but then it's like, but if you do that too soon, then you don't care about the people who die. And so then it's like, why am I even here? Yeah. But then if you do that too late, it's like, man, just kill these motherfuckers off by now. These people have all annoyed the fuck out of me. Like if you let people be human, they're gonna fucking annoy you, and you just want them to. I mean, not me. I don't want people to die, but Drea does.
You put that on me. Get out of here.
So then we find out that,
or whatever his name was, he's the only one that I was like, whatever with him. But the way Josh got taken out, that was rude.
Yeah, so I was not expecting the twist. I thought that it was going to be the old racist caretaker who was spying on them the whole time. But the movie,
simple. Yeah.
It surprised me that there's like this shadowy other organization that comes in, just starts burying them one by one. They rudely, Allison Brie's going up to her bedroom to I don't know, take a nap or whatever, and the affair is playing. So she gets mad, takes off. But like her car, there's like some spikes in the road that these dudes have like left for her. So her car veers off, smashes into a thing. And then we just see a full running towards her. We don't get the death scene, right? But then
so she's
later on,
character that, could potentially come back.
Well, Charlie comes back to find her. He sees her phone, and then he sees her body, and then he immediately gets taken out.
Yeah. You see like the outside, again, her outline, some blood. But they didn't show her death. You see him get taken the fuck out with that. Him and his brother got taken with the hammer. But again, also, I was like, if you're gonna take your wife out, Allison Brie, in a film, like you might as well go all out with it. Like, friggin' Drew Barrymore, her like screamer or whatever. What I could go. I could go so much further. Never mind.
Do you think that was his choice to have her die off screen if she is dead because he didn't? Do you think he couldn't do that, or what do you think?
I don't know if it was out of respect. I mean, I guess I won't know until the next film. If I don't see her in the next film and she doesn't come back, then it was out of respect. But until then, I don't even know. I'm assuming that maybe that would be cool if they turned this into Allison Brie and Sheila Vance kind of film. And then they avenge everything, and maybe that's what they're setting it up to be, because Allison Brie's great in Glow. She packs a punch. And she's proven herself. Oh, also Little Hours. She's fucking hilarious in Little Hours.
So it kind of maybe, if we were looking at a sequel to this, maybe take on the form of like the end of The Furies, where after that lady gets out of the pen, she then goes after all these men who have been like paying to watch girls get killed or whatever.
Yeah. It was set up to be an anthology, this series.
I would kind of like that. That's the way they take it out, because then what happens is like we get back to the house and Josh and Mina are there. Then they take out Josh with a hammer. And I guess what infuriated me about this film is that Mina had all the characteristics of a good final girl. Like she knew how to get them off track. She knew how to be sneaky. She knew how to run through the woods, and hide behind the trees and do all the things. And she's going through the mist, and then she just drops off the side of a cliff. And I had to rewind and watch that again, because I was like, no, they didn't just do that.
Oh, I saw it.
They didn't take her out like that.
Oh, they did it. But again, we don't know. And I'm glad you brought that up to my attention. I'm like, that is a trick that we can often fall for. And because I don't have the patience to be like, well, maybe she's going to come back the next film, but that's probably what the situation is.
Yeah, because we don't see the body. We just see the guy kind of looking over. and like there's like the waves, but we don't see the body. So I'm just saying, you know, no body, no crime. You know, more money, more problems, and several other things.
But
But then
overall, yeah, like
so what do you
you
think
were
of the
feeling it.
implications of this as like privacy and as like, you know, I guess what Dave said is like in a time when we're so divided as a nation, we will totally like stay in somebody else's place without knowing them. And that is a little creepy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, do you think people
I
are
don't
watching
recall
you
the
on
last time I
Airbnbs?
stayed in an Airbnb. I've heard some
Ah,
horror stories. Uh, yeah, it's not that I've never have, but I kind of got out of the Airbnb game before, you know, everything like hit the fan. But yeah, it doesn't. I would never want somebody in my house if I don't know them. Like I just don't like the idea of that unless I know that person. You know, I just some random motherfucker up in my place. I
I
don't
don't
trust.
know as many
Trust me.
people. Yeah, I don't know as many people who rent as I do people who, you know, frequent Airbnbs. But the one person I knew in New York who did, he came home after the 5 days or whatever, and then they had completely fucked up his place. Like his plumbing was broken, there was a leak, there was.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, like that's bold as hell because he has all your information. Airbnb has all your information. You're definitely gonna get
That's been
punished by that.
happening during COVID. They like I think it happened in like New Jersey or some part of like outstate New York. People had like rented out a mansion or something like that, and like thousands of people showed up or something
Oh,
stupid.
that was in LA too.
Oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that's been happened. Oh, that one fucking idiot did that.
And so
What I
the
won't even say his name, but he's a
it's
piece
the
of shit.
but what's his name was like Garcetti was like, well, I guess we're just gonna shut your water and your power off. And like that sucks because it's like not the person's house, it's like whoever he rented it from.
Yeah. Well, it's and Garcetti, another name we shouldn't even bring up on this fucking podcast. What a
You
piece
can
of shit he
bleep it
is.
if you want to when
I will bleep 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 because that is a foul word on this podcast. But
um
overall, I like the film. I like I thought they achieved something. I thought maybe certain things they shouldn't have even attempted to do, maybe, you know. But
it was original and it felt, you know, if Mina is dead and if Michelle is dead, if these characters are dead, it was nihilistic in a way that felt very 2020 to me, where it's like we don't get survivors anymore. Like we get a final dog, not a final girl.
got a final dog. Oh, he's so cute. And he did not. He got the fuck out of there. He wasn't even trying to be friends. He
He was
was
like,
just
oh, no, 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 no. But ultimately, yeah, I thought it was original. I thought Dave did his thing. It did call back to other films. I mean, the thing is, like, it's a scary movie about people. Like, there's 4 people in a cabin in the woods, not in the woods, but in a, you know. So it's like, how original could it be? But you know, it definitely took me in a direction that I didn't know I was going, and I was here for it. It was creepy as hell because
I'm surprised you liked it actually as much as you did. You're the things that creep you out and the things that don't. It interests me actually. You're a tricky one.
are you calling me an exhibitionist? Are you saying I like it when
I
people are
said you're
watching it?
tricky. Is that the word I use? I said tricky, and I'm gonna.
um, all right. Do you want to send us up into the next one, Dre?
Absolutely. So, for our next part of the main discussion, we are finally getting into Lovecraft Country. And it is, let me catch up, ladies and gentlemen. It's about Atticus Freeman. He joins his friend Letitia and his uncle George to embark on a road trip across 1950s Jim Crow America in search of his missing father. And now it's landed on HBO Max, and it's produced by J.J. Abrams and Jordan Peele. And actually, I should say Jordan Peele first. Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams.
Monkey paw.
And so our main characters we really have to, and I just want to talk about the ones that are just introduced in the first episode because it's going to be more and more every episode. But we have Journey Smollett as Letitia Letty Lewis. We have Wunmi Mosaku. Let me do that again. Wunmi Mosaku as Ruby Baptiste, Letty's half sister. Jonathan Majors as Atticus Tick Freeman. We have Courtney B. Vance as George Freeman, the uncle. Anjanou Ellis as Hippolyta Freeman. The aunt, Michael K. Williams as Montrose Freeman, the father. Jamie Chung pops up in here and sees Gia. And we only hear her and see her. We don't actually get introduced to her character. and then Abby Lee as Christina Braithwaite, who we see her but don't formally get to know her either.
AKA like Aryan what do you call it? Prototype.
Oh yeah, beyond Aryan. Yeah, it is. It's so on the nose, and she's real pretty, but she's also just like straight out of like everything Hitler wanted or whatever, basically.
Yeah. You're the product of like eugenics. I don't.
You might not have private parts.
I'm so happy the show is here. We've been looking forward to it for so long. I mean, I felt like I've seen it on so many billboards, and it's just like from the first time that teaser hit the airwaves, I was like, Dre, we are talking about this. I cannot wait.
I had to introduce the reason I did Killing or Eve's Bayou mixed with Killing Eve is because I didn't think we were going to be able to cover this during this season, but now that we've extended it long enough and you know, it's worked out this way. You know, Journey Smollett was the only thing I had to look up to. She's one of very few people I had growing up. And I've always like admired her and loved her. And just to see it's all these fucking years later. She's always been a star to me, but this character and how full circle it is for her, it like, I'm over the moon. This show encapsulates why I started this podcast. Like, this is what it is right here. So, you know, I'm like,
there's so many, the thing about it and, you know, it treading into Lovecraft territory and really dealing with not just like his monstrous creations, but also just like the specter of racism in him and his work as well. Because I think just like a really smart
sci-fi,
yeah, it's a really smart way to invoke Lovecraft and be like, you're not getting off the hook.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've only had the opportunity to watch the episode twice now. But it's a show where you got to rewatch episodes 3-4 times. And that's not a bad thing. It's like, it's every time it's enjoyable. There's just so much to take in. But
there are monsters for sure. But like when you strip down the monsters, it's all family. You know, like there's these intricate family dynamics that I didn't really fully grasp until probably the third watch, where I was like, wait a minute, what is Uncle George's relationship with Atticus's mother? Because why does he have her picture in his wallet as well?
Oh yeah, there's little things like that. I mean, the real monsters, first of all, is racism. That's the monster. It's not family. It's what doesn't help is and the thing that I didn't notice is Uncle George coming around when he invites his wife on, you know, I hope to take you on a trip and we can write our own book together, because he didn't take her the first time. And even, you know, he talks down to Letty and she has to correct him. My name is Letty motherfucking Lewis, you know, get it right. And you get in the car and I'm going to drive, you know, like he finally gets it. And there's also that moment where Atticus wants to go and protect her against her brother having a fight. And he's like, that's family trouble. And I'm like, you know, what happened to collective responsibility? That's what I believe in. And if you know, you see something, say something. And, you know, people it's too easy just to kind of walk away and, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Because at this point, it wasn't just an argument. Problems. Yeah, there was an argument. Like, it would be different if it was just like, this was an argument. You know, it's like, you know, and their siblings, like, let them do their thing. But we start hearing plates crashing, and it's like, that might be somebody's physical safety.
She straight up says, I've had the subtitle, and she's like, you're hurting me. Like, hands are on a person. You walk in there, grown man, you know. And today, like, I happened to come across, like, 2 different interviews just randomly. One with Journey on, typically, I'm not here to, like, watch... I don't have anything really against Jimmy Fallon, but he's not the best interviewer, especially when it comes to like real important topics. But Journey is really good friends with Amir, who's Questlove, you know, by that, but they're like best friends. And, you know, he not only showed his elation and excitement over this moment for her, which was really important. But she got into, you know, to talk about her family and her parents met during the civil rights movement. Her parents used to work with Angela Davis, and, you know, she has been, you know, she remembers the day her mother took her to vote for the first time and got her involved with, you know, the Rodney King beating, and understanding like what, what was going on around her. She's also a Libra, October 1st. And of course she's a Libra. I'm like, fuck yeah. And, she's only a year younger than me, or a year or two. And, I've been watching this young lady for so long, or, grown ass woman, but she's just still like so youthful, so joyful. And after, you suggested I go, praise, what is it? Bird of Prey was like pretty good. And her character was fantastic. They're
she
also
just
trying to
kicked the
give
shit out of everybody.
Black Canary, they might be making that a show now. Like there's a huge push for that. So, and I'm just like, yeah, about fucking time. And she was so good, just
also Letty kicks ass. I love Letty as the character. When she would, there was something so funny about when they get to the restaurant, you know what I mean? The one that used to be like Miss Lydia's and it's now something else. And like, it has been painted on the inside because it was supposed like pretty much firebombed because this woman would serve Black people. When she runs through the restaurant after she overhears that like soda jerk dude.
She starts that scene, yeah. Get
your
asses up. We gotta get the fuck out of here. And she was running to the end of that film now. I mean, to the end of that episode. They, he sent the asshole sheriff, whatever, Sheriff Hunt or whatever.
Hunt, yeah.
He made her run her, and she ran her ass off like Flojo down through them woods. I was like, get it, bitch. Very, very proud of that. But at the same time,
she saved the day.
Yes. I mean, she came through. Also, I'm looking forward to seeing like learning more about her half sister, Ruby. Ruby's dope.
Yeah, and we see she has like she wants to be a singer, and in the what to expect this season. It's like it looks like she gets her dream somehow. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact we get to do stuff. I don't even know what to
expect. I also don't plan on. I don't want to read too far ahead in what in the text. In the book, I just want to. I'm trying to stay like pretty neck and neck with it. But if I read ahead, then fuck it. Like I just really want to know as much as possible about this and see how closely they tie together and where they veer off.
Yeah. I also really liked. Their relationship as siblings was interesting to me. I mean, it's obvious that Letty didn't stay with Ruby because she gets in the car with them the next night to go to her brother's place. Because she'd come to Ruby being like, can I stay with you? And she's like, you've got 2 nights. And she didn't stay 2 nights. So they have a contentious relationship. And there's a moment where she's talking about getting a job at a department store. And she was like, we'll just get one at the white folks' place. And she was like, I've been trying for years. What makes you think they're going to take you? And she was like, and the implication being colorism. That like she would get the job because she's lighter skinned, probably.
Yeah. I mean, that, again, they've not only is racism such a heinous thing, but they've also caused us to hate one another. And as a light-skinned Black woman in this world, I had a lot of hate from my dark-skinned Black sisters. And they assumed, but it went back. There's a perfect film that Spike Lee made about it, School Days. And it's, the light-skinned girls, the black-skinned girls with the natural hair and the girls with the pressed hair. And, they just assumed, we just assumed we hated one another, but I've never had those tendencies in me. I just want to love my sister. I just want to, like, why on earth would I tear you down? We've been through so much already. And
especially once you uncover it as like an affect of white supremacy, and you're just like, they're just trying to pit us against each other.
Absolutely. But there's what I got. I felt like there was more contention. And the first time I watched it, the second time I watched it, it felt like tough love. And she and Ruby really loves her little sister, but she also like doesn't understand her. And Ruby's a person that's stuck around, and Letty's been out there in the world seeing things. And nobody wants I know about that. I'm a person that's gone out there to see the world, and people don't understand that when all they've known is what they've known. And they're not ready to take on that challenge. That
Letty has been out in the world as a part of the civil rights movement, right? Because we find out that like the money that her brother, this would cause the argument, but the money that her brother gave her, she used to bail out friends who were arrested for protesting segregation, and but he doesn't see it that way, and it's like how complicated like politics and family, and then again what the real horror is.
Well, again, it was all about like it's during that argument, Courtney B. Vance, when Atticus, that's the moment he wants to run in, save her. But all we're taught is to protect ourselves. And we forgot we got to protect our fucking community, collective responsibility. You know, that is what we've forgotten. And they've learned how to divide us. You know, like just people of color around the world, they have figured out a formula and how to divide us, and we are slowly, you know, shining a light on that bullshit. And you know, like shows like this was such a complete like affront to H.P. Lovecraft and his work. While as much as I've loved the ideas and the creation, you know, that has come from that. Same with Stephen King. He's some brilliant ideas. He's racist. I'll straight up say it. Stephen King is racist. It's not that far-fetched. It's not that big of a statement, you know. But people can be more than one thing. It's just, you know, we are complex.
And also just like the specter of his work and the originality of it too, and having to contend with like the fact that somebody who made something in the world is a shitty human being and a racist, you know, like that's at the center of so many discussions about art and artist, you know, and Woody Allen and so on and so forth. I'm curious what you thought once it because there are so many horrors like getting chased by the firemen for the audacity of wanting a meal, right? And then being chased by the sheriffs in the other county.
Chased out by the brother. First, they were, you know, technically chased out by the brother too. You know, like they couldn't go nowhere. You know. But then, what was the next part?
Oh, the next one was then being in a sundown county and then being chased by the cops. I'm curious when the actual Lovecraftian monsters made their debut. What did you think about them?
Oh, I mean, it was, I already knew what we were leading up to. First, I mean, so you're dealt with real monsters versus make-believe monsters. So that was always far scarier to me, them getting chased out of that county. And then, but even when they left that county, the next ones still didn't want them, you know, and then they were about to get taken out for some bullshit. So that up until that moment, I was tense, you know, to a certain degree, but I also was just like, oh, y'all just walked yourselves into a trap. You think you surrounded them, but really you're surrounded. So it was just all fun after that. And then, you know, and then all the fun, I want to go back and just to write down every reference that I picked up on. Cause once they get surrounded by those monsters, which is just very creative, you know, a little too much CGI for me, but I still really think they're really creative. And the gore was perfect. It balanced it out perfectly. Arms getting ripped off,
jaws getting knocked out,
chest exploded. Yeah, when the sheriff turns, well, what happens is the first reference that would like sticks out so clearly, but I love is when they get to this random cabin in the middle of the woods, Evil Dead. You know, that's Evil Dead, and they get in there, but then we're talking about Dracula, and you know. These things kind of they emulate, you know, the same way. They can't deal with sunlight or bright lights, kind of like a gremlin actually too. And
because they're like much more powerful or like gross or faster than like traditional vampires, but they're also more vulnerable to light than
they're a whole combination of shit. I don't know what these things are. You know, they're just out of a book, and then homeboy turns into a thing, and then. But their responses to things are like, as the sheriff, they're like, what happens to a person that gets bit by a vampire? And they're like, oh, you need to shoot him. Oh, you need to shoot him.
He's literally turning to a monster in front of your eye. I mean, this monster of a human being is turning into a Lovecraftian monster in front of your eyes. Like, what do you think? You can like cure him of that? Like, you know, you need to take that shotgun to that motherfucking mouth and pull the trigger.
I mean, they're useless, fucking useless, clearly, you know, and it was just infuriating, you know, having to listen like, oh, like you some lucky niggas. Yeah, I lost 4 of my men. And it's
good
just
riddance.
Like, you motherfucker, you know? It was a lot. But also I wanted to take note, something that has played out in my head. I'm like, I wonder how many white people that play racist roles actually get some joy out of that shit. Like sometimes I'm like, you're too good. Like,
or like you look like
you Django Unchained. I'm like,
you look like you're having a lot of fun saying that word.
You said that with like impunity. You said that.
There was some stank on that.
Some stank on that. Yeah, I questioned that actually big time. So, you know, he was as good as he was and as much as he got under my skin, I kept thinking like, somebody need to do some background work on you. I need to make sure you want to up and up. But he was great. Also, you brought this up, just like, how did you know my name? I'm like, your name tag, bitch.
Don't you have a badge? I mean, come on now. It's right there on your motherfucking lapel. Everybody can see it.
I could read.
Sheriff Hunt. Like,
I was reading it.
I want to get back to a point that I kind of made earlier, which is like upon the third viewing of this. When we have Atticus going back to his father's apartment, he opens a Count of Monte Cristo book, and in it, as a bookmark, but more than a bookmark, is a picture of his mother, or of the family, but we see a picture of the mother. Then later on, when they're on the road and Uncle George, is that his name? Uncle George?
Yeah.
Cordy B. Vance, yeah, Uncle George. He's calling his wife and his kid, which I read an early version of the script, and that kid was actually a guy. So that actress must have knocked her audition out of the park.
Yeah, they did some gender swapping, I heard, throughout the whole series. Like that's part of the more modern take on it, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I liked it. So, but anyway, so Uncle George, after he's talking to his wife and telling him we should go on the road together, and he talks to his kid, then he folds up the comic that his kid made him, because she's like a comic artist, and puts it in his wallet. But then we see also in there is a picture of Atticus's mom.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and he looks at it with like a little bit of a...
Well, you could tell there was like a distance even in the opening when you first see them together. Something, I thought that, I didn't realize that was his wife the first time I watched the show. Like, I kind of missed certain things. I was like taking notes and blah, blah, blah. I thought she was the mistress, kind of almost the way things kind of worked out. I mean, I get it. I watched it the second time, just like, clearly they woke up in the same house together. Your daughter's there, yada, yada. But there was certain things when if you miss those moments, it almost felt like off a little bit. But there was love, but it was almost like he was making up for something almost, you know? And I also like that I didn't notice, I haven't gotten that far in the book, but they haven't introduced his child. So I like that it's a girl now. And I really think that's special, you know? That's always a really important bond to see. I like seeing Black women in things. It's been a long time. It's really refreshing.
I mean, again, with like this, I May Destroy You, Insecure, Watchmen, like HBO is really doing the work.
Yes. I mean, and I think I want to say back in the 80s, they switched their president to a woman, and she right immediately. I mean, they've had a certain tone, HBO. I've been watching HBO and random shows on there since I didn't even understand half them shows, like Larry Sanders Show and shit. You know, like there's always been, I mean, and they just always kill it with their documentaries. I've always, you know, waited around for just what do they have to show me? You know, even when, you know, we used to have IFC. Now IFC got commercials and shit. I can't do that. So I got HBO, and they come through quite often. I want to say, other than, I picked up on a couple of things at the beginning, like as they're on the bus when he wakes up out of that awesome dream, when we get the beautiful, what a great introduction, by the way.
Yeah.
And you know, the Jackie Robinson coming, his hero, you know, that shit was cool. But the woman next to him says, we just drove over another bridge named after another dead slave owner, you know. I mean, how poignant is that, you know, after just losing John Lewis, and, you know, and we still need to change the name of that goddamn bridge, you know, why he had to walk over that thing, by this KKK Confederate flag wearing motherfucker. I'll never know.
In the script, though, her like name or whatever was Rosa Parks lookalike.
I mean, I get it. I think, like, yeah. I mean, there's certain not stereotypes, but just there's certain things you want to drive across for sure.
Yeah, I was like, in an invocation. Do you have any theories about where this show is going? Because like, what's their birthright? What's the secret thing? How is this connected to this?
Okay, that's where, so I've been in this thing, like, I used to buy Criterion so I can learn the extras, and then years ago I stopped doing that. Like, I was like, I like living in the fantasy. I don't want to spoil it for myself, but You know, I think I'm like kind of beyond that now. I'm really intrigued by this. I just want to find out everything I can possibly find out about it. And I'm just gonna read you know, I'm gonna try to keep some of the allure there, but I mean, first of all, you got these again Aryan, scary looking white people telling you that you've come home. Like what? That's all wrong.
There was a little Get Out vibes there. A little Get Out vibes. I was like, I don't know about that.
And then I don't know what's going on with the silver. I mean, I like the. So I also saw with the silver sedan, like they didn't hit the car; they hit a force field.
Yeah.
And you know, and what's this bitch about, and what's going on there? And that also the car was like Christine. It was like there's another movie called I want to say it's called The Hearse. You ever seen The Hearse? I think it's on. It might be on Shudder. It's like a has like a 70s kind of vibe to it. Like it feels like it's a late 70s, but it's 80s, and it's just a deadly hearse that drives around and murders happen. It's good. I liked it. But anyway, I got those vibes from that. I think actually once we wrap this up, I'm probably gonna watch it again, and I'm gonna be mad when I have to wait around and I might actually watch I May Destroy You again.
I'm definitely gonna watch that after this. But it was just like so gorgeously made.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You know, the colors were so saturated. Like the imagery was so lush. The frames, you know, when after they have that argument, I just remember this so vividly. But after Letty has the argument with her brother, and there's just like it's just a shot of like cloud. There's like lightning in the clouds. And it was just so like, and like the kind of, I mean, you know, like they were there. I feel like the cinematographer or the DP or whoever was like really lucky to get that shot, because it's like, that's kind of a chance thing. And it's just so beautiful. And
that's how you find those shots. You're not like that. You just happen to catch those on the B-roll. Like you just keep the camera rolling. That's one thing I always keep my camera rolling whenever I'm shooting anything. Just like, and that's usually I'll be going through like what I intentionally shot, and then I'll be like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, okay, I meant to do that. I meant that. And speaking of, you know, the landscape, you know, there was an article, and I've been trying to find it. I saved it right at the beginning of all this whole, you know, COVID bullshit. And was a Black woman around my age. She did a trip across country, and she made like a guide, kind of like not even like a green book, but just it was just like her kind of explaining how difficult and how what a huge step that was for her to do that. And I didn't think it blew my mind, because I'd been told, because it's something I always wanted to do by myself. I've had the privilege to do it as a Navy brat. My dad always insisted on, you know, packing the car up and driving us across country. And it was just the longest fucking, you know, trip ever, like all longest week of your life. I'm like, fuck the Grand Canyon and fuck this and fuck that. But it's like, now I'm just like, damn, like it's amazing that I got to do those things. I also remember like we would just breeze right through Texas. We wouldn't stay in Texas very long. You know, we get right out of there. And it's still something I feel like I maybe one day I still have it on my bucket list. I hope I can do that, but it's a real thing. I have to know where I'm going, because I can go to the wrong place and disappear. Simple as that. It's not even just as a woman, but I mean, specifically as a Black woman. Like they don't, certain towns are just, they're still stuck in Jim Crow era. Yeah. And that's a terrifying thing.
I would not, you know, it's like, am I going to go to this gas station? Because as soon as I step out the car, they're going to be like, what is this fag doing here? Like, I don't.
Well, in the gas station sequence, how hard was that to watch?
But also the beautiful part of that scene was the James Baldwin, the from his debate with William Buckley, and just talking about Blackness and the American dream, and how implicit bias, it's like the question, the debate that he won, by the way, that the question was framed in such a way that like you could not answer it without acknowledging your implicit bias and anti-Blackness and white supremacy and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it was just like playing out in those scenes that like,
I mean, just to use what a strong thing to do. Instead of you know, finding the perfect song to fit a scene, they found the perfect speech to encapsulate what this entire series is supposed to be about. And you really saw the scene through his words. You understood what they were feeling. It felt like, even though all the colors are rich, but it still felt like this is the 50s, and you know, this is something my parents experienced, you know, my parents' parents experienced. And James Baldwin, what a perfect person to encapsulate what I think America should be. You know, like, I think it's insane that he even existed and the time that he existed. And you know, thinking of last night, I had to watch the DNC. I wanted to see what's going on, and they ended it with Billy Porter, and I was really just like, wow. And he's saying, you know, stop, look, what's that sound? Everybody, look what's going down. He sang that song.
Oh,
and
damn.
And Billy Porter with his beautiful flowing train, and he just got it. And I was just like, holy shit. Even though I know not my trans women and men and my family out there, you don't get the recognition, even during these times when you're being murdered day after day. Like, to some degree, I'm happy that, I mean, that's what I think when I think of America. That's the person. And it was, you know, also it was like, you know, you have your moment, Billy, but also, like, we got to call these motherfuckers out. Like, don't just use us when you want to use us for your opportunities and your moments. Like, you better,
and your votes, you know.
Yeah, I'm not for that. But yeah, that shit blew me away. And I plan on I brought up, when I was in LA, after I dropped off some stuff, I brought back The Fire Next Time, because I want to reread that. I haven't read that book in so long, and that was one of my first introductions into James Baldwin. And The Price of the Ticket also is a great documentary to watch. It's really, and it's his funeral, but it's not as sad as you'd think, you know, when you really see what kind of life he led. He had a full life, and he left us with things that are being used today, you know, and they're just as poignant.
I remember the first time I read Giovanni's Room, and I was like, oh, so this is what you can do with writing. It was like one of those books where, because I was getting, no shade, but like, you know, in high school, like Lord of the Flies, which it teaches a valuable lesson in storytelling, you know, or like Animal Farm and stuff like that. But my mother was like, well, you know, that's all well and good, but there's also this. And I was like, shit.
Yeah, I was fucking tired of The Great Gatsby and that shit. I was tired of that. I wanted other things. And when I found that,
I was like, yeah, Great Expectations. Sure, it was the best at times, it was the worst at times. But can you just give me something by somebody who's not white? Please.
Yes,
please.
Little Women.
Please.
Great story. I don't know these Little Women. Like, that's not my story.
New book, who dis? Like, I don't know.
But yeah, I just look forward to covering this, you know. I just want to keep covering this, even after.
Just like, how great, like, just for the next 2 months, you have this to look forward to every Sunday.
Yeah. And also, you know, I want to make mention, like, even though people are drawing comparisons to Watchmen, this is a whole other thing, you know, because Black people, we're diverse. I don't know if you all knew that, you know. Our fans, people that come to listen to this show, you all know, but like, yeah, we can bring a lot to the plate, and just people of color, like, y'all been biting our style forever. Just let us do what we do. How about that?
And you know what? There are endless horrors to unpack and mine,
Yes.
both like in a socially conscious way, but also in a creative way, because that's unfortunately been our histories in this country as Indigenous people and Black people. It's like most of the time that y'all, like, that white people have existed in this space, it's been at the expense of us. Mm-hmm. and profiting off of our horror and our death and our labor and our land and our resources. So you know what? I'm so glad that the show exists, and I'm so glad that like that it just, because it's like, yes, I could do this as just a straight up period drama, but I love that it's also get to be genre as well.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about like bringing back, you know, the history and bringing it to the forefront. We're always, we're repeating ourselves and we're learning from ourselves, you know? So it's like when they tried to use the, you know, like those books that we brought up that we did not relate to because we did not see ourselves in those literal, you know, texts. I, I, I know that those things do exist though. And this is one of those things like, okay, so it's, but we have to write from it from this perspective and make sure that us as historians, as curators, that we continue this and make sure that these stories continue to be told. And there's, I mean, there's a lot of shit that was going through my head during this. Like you think about these sundown towns, people just trying to get somewhere. How many people disappeared, you know, during one of the, how many people have just never shown up, you know, and there's no record of that, you know, like, you know, it's just, it's, that shit terrifies me.
Because like what happened to Letty and George and Atticus in that forest when those cops, like that's happened so many times and we don't even know their names. It didn't
end like that. It ended. Yeah, it ended in a, and the way, and the other thing that came up in the Journey Smollett interview was what she has been wanting to do a character like this and wanting to do sci-fi and horror. And she just said, I just didn't want to be that black chick that got killed off in page 37. Like, I just didn't want that. Like, please let me persevere, you know, like, why not? And so
here, another thing about the potential of shows like this, and like I can't say the title or anything about it, but I just finished writing on a show that's like its main characters were 4 Native teenagers on a reservation, and it's like, man, I would have killed to have that show as a teenager, but teens get to have it now. Vulnerable teenagers
who need it.
You know. I didn't like the thing about Scream Queen, and like when we were talking about the show, podcast about scary movies from people not typically depicted in scary movies, is like we didn't see ourselves in these, so we had to figure out how to empathize with characters who had nothing in common with us. And like those teens now are watching shows like this and are going to watch the show that I wrote on, and they're going to be able to see themselves on screen and be able to empathize with somebody who does look like them,
and they get to be picky. And in the way that we didn't get to be picky.
Right. You know? I had to watch fucking Dances with Wolves and pick one motherfucker who didn't die and be like, okay, I'm that one. You know?
That's the Mohicans and shit.
You know, if we even got to play ourselves, Pierce Brosnan ass playing an Indian, I'm sorry, that doesn't slap, sis. What was I gonna say? Oh, and also like shit is so fucked up politically. And like, I think like art and television specifically has the ability to, is almost like another branch of government in a way, in the sense that it is allowing for a possibility of mind and spirit when this other branch of government is trying to crush that, you know?
Absolutely. This is, I believe everything happening around us is happening for a reason. I believe we were supposed to be living throughout this moment and witnessing the beginning of something new. And these kids are about to fucking take over. And I'm just like happy to be of support to that. That's all I can do.
So until next time, because I feel like now that we've got Lovecraft Country, we're probably gonna be at least referencing it throughout the rest of the season.
I mean, basically. All right. Tommy, let's get into our Scream Queen that you...
Right. So our Scream Queen this week, the thing is we had her as our season 1 finale, but you know, she just keeps giving us roles so we can keep making her Scream Queen. That is Lupita Nyong'o in Little Monsters, a Australian horror film. Again, we keep talking about these Australian movies because they keep happening, they keep being good. It's like she's Miss Audrey Caroline, who is a teacher to these kids, and she's like taking them through this, like, I don't know, what is it, like a petting zoo type thing?
Yeah, some fucking field trip.
And
but it's near is it near like a military base? Like this, because the farm, never mind. I'm trying to piece it together.
But they were specifically American military. Anyway, they're on this like petting zoo thing with Teddy McGiggle's ass, and a zombie apocalypse happens, or zombie infection occurs. And military is called in, specifically American military for some reason. And at least in the world of this movie, zombies do exist. Like, at least have existed in some way, shape, or form in popular media. Because like, what's so infuriating is like watching these movies and they're like, what is that? And it's like, bitch, we've been having Night of the Living Dead. We had all this other shit. Like we had 28 Days Later. What do you mean you don't know what these things are? Come on. Walking Dead is like, what was one of the biggest shows on television. You tell me you know what the fuck a zombie is? But anyway, Miss Audrey has patience beyond words because she is a boss with these kids. I mean, one of the reasons why I like this movie so much is because I like her character so much.
Yeah, also, I'm sorry to cut you off, but let's take note, people. Tommy likes a movie with kids in it.
And they were like so cute, except for that one bitch who liked the putt golf and started screaming and almost got them all eaten up. Like that kid can go to hell, but like
he was like a little chunk. I liked him. He cracked me up. And I like when he got because he got like, when he got smushed behind the door, when he was like talking shit, they're like, that's why you don't have a dad. And he's like, oh, damn.
But yeah, the main little kid, the one who dresses up like Darth Vader and he has like the allergic reaction to some chips. He's so cute. Oh, he's so cute.
I love the constipation. I can't say the fucking word. What's the word?
Constipation.
The constipation between
conflict.
I love okay, anyway. I like how different I can't think of the fucking word. I like how inappropriate, that's the word I'm going to use, it is to put these little cute ass kids in this movie with hella gore and it's just filthy, like word wise. It is
all Teddy McGiggle's ass does is say the word fuck and talk about how he fucked all these moms.
Yeah, I fucked all of these kids' moms. Fuck so many moms. It's just, they just go for it. I really very much, I'm always well, of course I was thinking about Kindergarten Cop and shit, which is funny because you heard that they banned that from playing like somewhere. I think it's not allowed to play up in Portland or something like, or in Oregon, there was an event where it was supposed to play at a school and they're like, no, because it makes police look like, it makes them look like they're heroes, or it makes it makes them look like sensitive individuals, and we don't want to make the police system look this way, so they banned Kindergarten Cop from playing up there. I like that it kind of plays off of that. I didn't think you could make movies like this, so and basically you can't make this here, so you can do this in Australia and then bring it over here.
I also liked Miss Audrey's character because it's not like she's always been this patient, nurturing force. It turns out that she was a little bit off the rails in her past life.
But even her off the rails is just like, oh, okay, bitch.
She was following Hanson, basically. Following Hanson, and in Australia, and then ended up getting like arrested or a restraining order or something because she like creeped on these people a little bit too much.
She like ended up in their dressing room or something.
Yeah. Real creepster. But then turned her life. What's that?
With only downside, and because they said Taylor, and they were like, Taylor Swift, you were creeping on Taylor Swift. She's like, no, Taylor Hanson. And the only downside about this movie is that their little rhymes. Also, she plays a ukulele. That's actually not cute either. But she plays a ukulele and she sings Taylor Swift, "Shake It Off" a lot. And
I will say that of all iterations of Taylor Swift songs, Lupita singing one was the least offensive version to me.
Yeah, I just don't like that song. You know what? There's actually a song or two I can tolerate from that chick. And
Spill. Let our readers know what Taylor Swift can you tolerate?
I'll get back to you next episode. I don't I don't like her enough to know the name, but
okay, gotcha.
That one where she's a crazy bitch. Well, I guess that's like all her songs, but she's like, I love this boy, but I want this boy, and because I want all the boys. Like
the cheerleaders on the bleachers and the thing. That one,
no, it was like her. I don't know. I don't want to talk about Taylor Swift. I'm glad you like this film. It gave me a laugh. I thought it was refreshing. She's too good for the guy in the film for sure.
Oh my God, he's like a total fuck up, but he has some promise of growth because by the end, that dude, the washed up musician, kind of redeems himself a little bit in the sense that he's not a total fuck up. Like he actually helps keep these kids alive. Like he's no Teddy McGiggles,
He's no Teddy McGiggles. But he's a dummy. He's for sure a dummy. It was cute though. It wasn't like, it's not, they didn't go too deep into these characters that you cared enough that they didn't make them fully developed. Because it was everybody was in on the joke. Like you said, like, you know, they explained the zombies. Like, we understood how these zombies work. They're slow zombies. Yeah. So they don't run really fast. So, you know, that's why, I mean, she's also a badass, but she was able to take out like 5,000 of them.
When she got her hands on that shovel, she was like, I'm decapitating all y'all. So fuck off Miss Audrey right now.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
She's like, let me show you how you got me fucked up. And then she just like took out 3 of them in one fell swoop.
Pretty yellow dress.
That dress looks so good on her though. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I didn't say that. I lied. My mom said that. I watched this with Nita again, and she was like, she needs to take a shower. Like, somebody go tell that girl to go wash off. Like, Mom, I think your priorities are a little mixed up here. She's got other things going on, Nita.
Right, when she came in and they were like, what's that in your hair? And she's like, I got into a jam fight. Don't eat the jam. And it was like, that dress looks so good on her though.
It did.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, dark skin or just brown skin and bright colors. It's the best thing in the world all day. And I was, she was glowing in this film. And it is hard to play a character like that. Like, literally, she has to just like, I'm having the best time, and how's everybody else doing? And yeah, by the end, he like lets her take a nap at the end after she kills all those zombies. So I guess that's growth.
Well, Lupita Nyong'o as Miss Audrey Caroline, you're our screen queen of the week this week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Catch us next week, same time, same place. Not sure what we're covering, but you'll know. Just keep a look on our Instagram page. We'll probably tell you there.
Mm-hmm. And Scream Queen is produced by Alexander De Palma and Domino Sound.
With theme music by Doc Allison. I
am Drea Washington, and you can find me on the gram at Hey Girl Hey. That's HeyGrlHey.
I'm Tommy and Teebs Pico. You can find me on Instagram at HeyTeebs, HeyTeebs.
And you can find us on Instagram at Scream Queen Podcast.
And online at screeemqueenpodcast.com.
Send us some love notes at screeemqueen@gmail.com. That's SCREEEM queen@gmail.com.
And in the scary movie of your life,
you better
scream, Queen.
Our heads were more in sync than the words, but hey, bitch, we nailed it. Whatever, we nailed that.